Hello and welcome to Heru, Yoga for the Blind. My name is Hannah and I'm the founder and the voice behind Heru. And today I will be guiding you through this short yoga session. An important quick note before you get started though. This session today is unfortunately not suitable for those with glaucoma or detached retina. If this is you, please refer to the other gratitude practice specifically designed for your needs, which will come out next week. Before you get started, please ensure that you have enough space around you to move and/or someone with you who can support you and your safety as you move through your practice. Make sure to wear something comfortable that you can move in without distraction, and ideally take off your socks to get a better feeling for the floor or the yoga mat. Today's session is a floor-based sequence focused on cultivating a practice of gratitude. A practice to turn inwards and to reflect as you move through your postures. Things you might need are a yoga mat and a blanket for your shavasana, the relaxation at the end. If you do not have a yoga mat, please simply practice on the floor. Do not use a blanket or a towel to put down as a replacement for a yoga mat, as it will make it too slippery and not allow you to grip the floor properly. Lastly, as always, you know your own body best. During your practice, you might experience some discomfort in certain poses. This can be an indicator that you might want to adjust the pose or maybe use some props to support you, but it does not mean that you can't practice this pose or yoga. Should you, however, experience pain, please stop, ease off, or choose a different pose. Pain is never something you should work through. But now, let's get you started. Today, you will start in child's pose, balasana. To set up, come onto all fours first. Then bring your toes together and open your knees as wide as the yoga mat. If you do not have a yoga mat, you can simply open your knees as wide as you wish. The aim here is to have space for your upper body and for your hips to descend down towards the floor or your heels. And a quick note on knee health in this pose. If you find your knees are tender or tight in this position, you might find it helps to place the blanket either folded or rolled just behind your knee, so between your calves and your thighs. Should your ankles not like this position, try to place the blanket underneath your feet and see if this helps. You will be staying in this position for a little while, so make sure that you find your position of comfort. And this might mean that you have to wriggle around a little bit to start with. Once you have found your child's pose variation, then reach your arms out in front of you. You want to have your arms at least as wide as the shoulders, if not even a little wider. Then, in order to make it an active child's pose, place your hands on fingertips to lift your wrists, elbows, armpits off the floor. That way, you create a little bit more space in your upper body. Even with little to no vision, please feel free to close your eyes to support bringing the focus inwards and giving your muscles around the eyes a little bit of relaxation. Allow your body to settle. And take a moment to let go of your day thus far. Allow yourself to find a moment of stillness in your body and your mind. With every exhale, allow your heart to melt a little bit more into the floor. Your hips to descend a little further down towards your heels. This is a moment of surrendering, of undoing, non-doing. Connect with the earth beneath you, meld into the floor. Now tune into the back of your heart center, the spot between your shoulder blades. Feel how it inflates as you inhale, how it softens as you exhale. Expansion on your inhale softening on the exhale. Notice your breath and how it feels today. Notice the intensity. Is it soft or deep? Notice the pattern. Is your inhale and your exhale even? Simply take time to notice. No need to change anything about it. As you make this connection with your breath, take some time to reflect on what is there that you are grateful for. As human beings, we often go on about our day-to-day without actually taking a moment to reflect, to pause. With autumn taking shape in all its glory, it is a good time to reflect on what you are grateful for. This is this moment. It has been a tough year for many of us, and sometimes it can feel maybe even almost impossible to find gratitude. Therefore, I invite you to take off the pressure and let this be anything you wish. This can be as mundane as your first sip of the morning beverage, a conversation with a loved one. Often, it's those little things that will help us to connect with ourselves and those around us that we love. It's those small pockets of joy. Take a few more breaths here, in this position. Your arms stretched out, your heart, your head, and your hips descend towards the floor. Maybe as you take this moment of undoing, you realize that there is one thing, one gratitude in particular, that keeps coming back to you. Take note of that. Now, on your next inhale, walk your hands over to the right edge of your yoga mat. Keep rooting down into your heel through your left sitting bone. Keep your hands at least as wide as your shoulders still, even if not a little wider. Feel the space you created in your left side body now. Inhale, you create space. Exhale, release your heart to the earth. Take one more breath here. Inhale, reach. And exhale, soften. On your next inhale, walk your hands over onto the other side. Root through your right sitting bone into your heel, creating space in the side body. Inhale, create space. Exhale, soften into the floor. One more breath. Inhale, reach. Exhale, soften. On your next inhale, bring your hands back to center, reaching forward, child's pose, Balasana. Now, flip your palms up towards the sky. Bend your elbows and bring your fingertips to the back of your shoulders. Your elbows remain on the floor. With every exhale, walk your elbows ever so slightly more forwards, and this might mean even less than a millimeter. As you do this, take a few breaths here in this position, paying particular attention to the exhale, the letting go, the surrendering. Inhale deeply and exhale softly. And maybe you feel a little bit of a stretch in the shoulder area and in the side of the rib cage. Take one last breath here. Inhale deeply, exhale softly. On your next exhale, release your hands back onto the floor. Then, on your next inhale, shift your way into your heels and roll your upper body up. Come into a kneeling or a cross-legged position. Place both hands onto your energetic heart center, the upper part of your breastbone. Take 3 deep breaths here to prepare you for your moving practice. And as you do this, maybe this word, your gratitude, comes back into your mind. So inhale deeply, exhale gently. Inhale through your nose, exhale through your lips. Last one. Inhale, exhale softly. Then release your hands down onto your knees, and if you had your eyes closed, you can now gently blink them open. Place your hands now roughly shoulder width apart and a little bit in front of your shoulders, coming into all fours. Spread the fingers wide and claw the fingertips back, rooting the knuckles and the base of the palm into the floor. Your knees are roughly hip width apart and slightly behind the hips to create a little bit more space for your spine to move. If you have tender knees, either double up the mat or place the blanket underneath them. Gently pull your navel back to the spine and keep your lower abdomen activated. Inhale, pull your heart forward and upwards and tilt your pelvis downwards. Your sitting bones move towards the ceiling. Feel the spine on both opposite ends lifting towards the ceiling. Exhale, pull your navel back a little bit more. Press the hands firmly into the ground and dome your spine to the ceiling. Feel your head and your tailbone moving towards each other. Repeat this cat-cow movement in your own timing by using the breath as an indicator for your movement. You expand and lengthen the spine as you inhale, cow. You contract and round your spine as you exhale, cat. Inhale, you expand. Exhale, you contract. Inhale, feel the length in the front body. Exhale, feel the space in the back body. One last time. Inhale, lift. Exhale, you round. Then come back into a neutral spine. On your next inhale, reach your right arm forwards towards the top edge of the mat. Hands come onto fingertips. Then bend your left elbow back, bring your forearm to the floor. Heart melts to the floor, sitting bones look towards the ceiling. Here, you can either tuck your toes or keep them flat on the ground, depending on what feels good in your body. Take one deep breath here. Inhale and exhale. Take one breath here. Inhale, exhale. Then, on your next inhale, bring your right hand back underneath your shoulder and come back into tabletop. Other side. Inhale, reach your left arm forwards to the front edge of your mat, hands onto fingertips. Bend your left elbow back until the forearm comes to lie on the floor. Exhale, melt your heart to the floor. Sitting bones look towards the ceiling. Hold this pose for a little while. Take one deep inhale and then exhale. Now, on your next exhale, instead of lifting up, bend both your elbows backwards until your forearms rest on the floor. You want to keep your forearms parallel and roughly shoulder width apart. Your sitting bones are still looking towards the sky. The hips are slightly lifted. Lift your chin slightly, but allow your heart to melt to the floor. Feel the opening of the front chest. Take a few moments here in this puppy pose. You might find that you are slouching in your shoulders. You can counter that by pressing the elbows firmly into the ground. That way, you can allow the shoulder to move back. Take one deep breath here. Inhale, find integrity. Exhale, heart melts to the floor. Inhale, your heart reaches forward slightly. Exhale, heart melts to the floor. Inhale, and this time come back onto all fours. And take a softening exhale as you find your tabletop position. On your next inhale, shift your weight forward onto your hands. Your feet can lift off the ground towards your bottom so that your weight is on the knees. Pull your navel back and pull your heart forwards. Exhale, bend your elbows and slide your arms alongside your upper body. Lower your chin and chest until you come to lie down on your tummy. Press the tops of the feet, the place where your sandal strap would be, into the floor. That way, your knees can lift off the ground. Then lengthen your tailbone to your heels. Your navel still pulls towards the spine. Inhale, slide your hands forwards so that your elbows are underneath your shoulders. The forearms are on the floor and parallel to one another, just as we did in puppy pose. Shoulders roll back, but heart pulls forwards. Swings pose, or Salamba Bhujangasana. Take a breath here. Really finding the integrity of the pose. Your heart pulls forwards, your shoulders roll back. On your next exhale, move your chin to the right and look over your right shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, bring your chin to the left and look over your left shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Repeat this a few times with your breath. Exhale, move your chin to the side. Inhale, you bring it back to center. Exhale, you move your chin to the side. Inhale, you bring it back to center. And slow this movement down. Keep it gentle and soulful. On your next exhale, release back down to the floor. Slide your hands underneath your shoulders. Inhale, press yourself back up into all fours. Inhale, step your right foot forward in order to come into a low lunge. Create a 90-degree angle with your front leg. Your back leg is on the floor. Your base is hip-width distance. If your back knee doesn't like this position, you can either double up your mat or place the pillow, the blanket underneath it, or maybe try taking a slightly longer stance, but that will make this pose maybe a little bit less stable. So play around with the different variations here. Inhale, place both hands onto your front knee. Then draw your front knee back into your front hip so that your inner thighs can scissor towards one another. Engage your core, pull the navel back. Exhale, bend a little deeper into your front knee in order to stretch your left front hip. Inhale, reach your heart forwards. Your upper body leans diagonally forwards and away from your back leg. Imagine it as an extension of the thigh of your back leg. Exhale, roll your shoulders back. Then on your next inhale, sweep your arms up in line with your ears, reaching diagonally up and forwards. Exhale, bend your elbows, bring your upper arms on shoulder height. Hands face forwards, elbows are roughly bent in a 90-degree angle. Inhale, reach your arms up diagonally and forward. Exhale, bend your elbows, hands look forwards. Repeat this a few times with your own breathing pattern, always following the same recipe. Inhale, you reach your arms. Exhale, you bend your arms. As you do this, continue to engage your core and keep your upper body leaning diagonally forwards. Please do not worry if this gets a little bit wobbly in your foundation, and if you have to place your hands down to reset at any time, please feel free to do so. Inhale, reaching your arms. Exhale, bend your elbows. Inhale, reach your arms. Exhale, bend your elbows. One last reach. Then as you exhale, bring your hands down on the floor on the inside of your front foot. Heel toe your front foot slightly to the outer edge of your yoga mat. So same side of the yoga mat as your front foot. If you do not have a mat, simply create a slightly wider stance with your feet and the back leg by moving your front foot to the side. Now here you have different variations. You can keep your hands on the floor and roughly as wide as the shoulder. Or if you are quite mobile in your hips, you can see whether you can come onto your forearms. Your back leg can either remain on the floor as it is with the knee resting, or if you want a little bit more of an active practice, you can lift your knee off the ground. Then lengthen the back by pressing your heel away from you. Hold this lizard pose, Uttanapristhasana, for a few breaths. If you have chosen to place your elbows down or lift your knee and maybe at some point it feels a little bit too much, at any point you can release the knee or come back onto your hands. This can be quite an intense pose, so feel free to adjust it at any point to make this pose work for you. And whichever variation you have chosen, take one more deep breath here. Again, focusing especially on the exhale, the letting go, and slow it right down. Then on your next breath, come back into a tabletop position. Bring your toes together, knees apart. Shift your weight back onto your heels, child's pose. Take a moment here to reset, to come back into that inner contemplation. Other side. Inhale, come back into a tabletop position. Step your left foot forward and come into a low lunge position. Your front foot is roughly underneath your front knee, and you create a 90-degree angle in your knee. Your back leg is on the floor, your base is still hip width distance. Support your back knee and cushion it up if needed. Inhale, place both hands onto your front knee. Scissor your legs towards each other. Engage your core. Exhale, bend a little deeper into the front knee in order to stretch your right groin. Inhale, reach your heart forwards and your upper body leans diagonally forwards and away from your back leg. Imagine it as an extension of the thigh and of your back leg. Exhale, roll your shoulders back. Feel a little bit more of an opening across the chest. On your next inhale, sweep your arms up in line with your ears, reaching diagonally up and forwards. Energize your fingertips. Your upper body remains leaning forwards. Then exhale, you bend your elbows and bring your upper arms on shoulder height. Hands face forwards, elbows are roughly bent on a 90-degree angle. Inhale, reach your arms up and in line with your ears. Exhale, bend your elbows, hands look forwards. Repeat this a few times and coordinate it with your breath. Inhale, you expand. Exhale, you gather. As you do this, continue to engage your core to help with your stability. Inhale, you reach your arms, and exhale, you bend your elbows. One last reach. Then as you exhale, bring your hands down on the floor and on the inside of your front foot. Heel toe your front foot slightly to the left outside edge of your yoga mat, or simply widen your stance. Again, there are the different variations available, and as always, just because you have done one thing on one side doesn't mean that you have to do the same thing on the other side, so play around with that. You can keep your hands on the floor and roughly as wide as the shoulder, or if you are quite mobile in your hips, you can come onto your forearms. Your back leg can either remain as it is with the knee resting, or if you would like a little bit more of an active practice, you can lift your knee off of the ground. Then lengthen the back leg by pressing your heel away from you. Lizard pose, Uttanapristhasana. If you have chosen to place your elbows down or lift your knee and you find actually on this side this feels a little bit intense, you can always release the knee at any point or come back onto your hands. As I said previously, it can be quite an intense pose, so if you need to adjust at any point, please feel free to do so. And then take one more deep breath here, and again focusing especially on the exhale, the softening. On your next breath, come back into a tabletop position. Bring your toes together and your knees apart. Shift your weight back onto your heels and come to child's pose. Take a moment here to reset, to surrender, to turn inwards. And when you inhale next, walk your hands underneath your shoulders and roll up vertebrae by vertebrae until you come to sit on your heels. Sweep your legs around until you come into a seated position. If you have the blanket still nearby, you can grab it and sit yourself on top of the blanket just to get that extra bit of space. Bring your soles of the feet together and allow your knees to fall open to the side. Right knee opens to the right, left knee falls to the left. With both hands, grab your right thigh, roll it in, and lift your right sitting bone off the ground. Then move the thigh bone back and place the sitting bone back on the floor. Repeat the same thing on the other side. Grab your left thigh with both hands and roll it in. Lift your sitting bone off the ground, move the thigh bone back, and place the sitting bone back on the floor. Now scoop your hands under your ankles, so your ankles are sitting basically in your palms. Roll your shoulders back, root your sitting bones into the floor, and as you exhale, start leaning forwards by hinging from your hips. As you do this, keep a long spine, so your shoulders keep rolling back, your heart pulls forwards, your navel is engaged. Inhale, you lengthen your spine, you reach through the crown of the head. Exhale, lean a little bit more forwards. As you do this, keep rooting your sitting bones firmly into the floor. Here, it is not about how low you can get, but how much you can create space in the spine and in your front hips first. Inhale, you lengthen your spine. Exhale, you lean forwards. Inhale and lengthen one more time. Now exhale and bow forwards. Release your head. And here now you can have a little bit of a round curvature in your spine. Then inhale, find length. Exhale, bow a little deeper, relaxing your neck, relax your jaw. Inhale, you create space again in the front body. Exhale, you release down. And one last time. As you inhale, feel the spaciousness. As you exhale, feel the surrendering. On your next inhale, come back to center by rooting through your sitting bones. Your spine rolls up vertebrae by vertebrae until you are back in an upright position. Remove your hands from underneath your ankles. You can now either stay with your legs like this for the final meditation, or you can come back into a comfortable cross-legged position. In any case, inhale, float your arms up high to the sky, bring your hands into prayer above you. Exhale, bring your hands through the middle to your heart. Today's session finishes with a seated meditation. But if you like to finish with a traditional Shavasana, please feel free to add this in your own time after this session has finished. So sit up tall by rooting your sitting bones down and let the crown of your head reach towards the sky. Then bring your hands to your heart, one hand on top of the other. Rest your upper eyelids onto your lower eyelids in order to bring the focus back inwards. Bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the breath travel through your body with ease. Feel the ebb and flow of your breath, the ripple effect in your body. Welcome a lightness to your breath. In this safe space you've created for yourself, take some time to reflect upon anything you feel grateful for. Loved ones, the breath in your lungs, sunshine on your skin, fresh air, a tasty meal, a nice compliment, whatever comes to mind. With everything that comes to mind, quietly visualize the words, "Thank you." If you find it difficult to come up with gratitudes, remember, even the smallest and simplest things count. It doesn't have to be a big thing. This is not a moment where you have to achieve. It is a moment of trust, receiving and surrendering. Now let the feeling of gratitude come into your body and notice where in your body can you feel it. And take a few deep breaths here as you allow this feeling to expand. Take a few more moments here, really tuning into that sensation in your body. And whenever you're ready, allow your mind to drift off for the next few moments of quietness. Once it's time for you to come out of this short meditation, you will hear 3 gong sounds, and I will then gently and safely guide you out of your meditation. Now, slowly and without opening your eyes, bring your awareness back into the room that you're in right now. Take one deep inhale and a soft, long exhale out. Inhale, float your arms up. Exhale, bring your hands in prayer in front of your heart. Now, as always, finish your practice with a few silent words of gratitude. And say thank you to your body for carrying you through this practice, for supporting you and your loved ones throughout this day, and for always giving you a home, no matter what. With love and respect. Thank you for practicing with me today.